What's going on, guys? DB here, Tour Junkies, Sleepers video, BMW Championship, second leg of the PGA Tour playoffs. It's here. We're at Wilmington Country Club. We know not very much about the golf course other than what we're hearing from people who got there yesterday. Some couple guys who got there Sunday. We've heard some things about it. Listen, I think it's going to play in favor of the long hitters. We talked about that on the podcast. These massive greens are going to lead to a high green and red number, right? For everybody. If you're missing 8,100 square foot greens, you got problems. Okay. And then what that's going to do is it's going to lead to a lot of long putts. So we're going to talk three putt avoidance, strokes gained putting. I think that's gonna be a factor. But I do think this thing could set up for some scoring potential. I know the rough's going to be long and thick, and people are already talking about it. But I think there's a lot of ways you can attack these greens from the rough, and I think that's why guys will continue to hit driver. So let's get into this. I got two sleepers. Last week, our successful sleeper was Emiliano Grillo. He played pretty good. I think he finished top 30 or 35 in terms of DraftKings scoring. Not incredible, but not bad for a sleeper, right? Brendan Steele sucked. He was terrible. Missed the cut. But this week I got two guys, right? Two guys that make you feel a little icky. If I'm honest, they make you feel a little icky, and that's how it goes sometimes, right? I'm already starting to see this ownership thing shape up, just like I thought it would last night doing the podcast. Now this is Tuesday afternoon, so a lot of things can change. But like I thought yesterday, a lot of void in parts of the 80, low eights to 7K range. There's a big void there. A lot of people playing the studs and duds with the soft pricing. Rory McIlroy up there at like 10-5 being your most expensive player with Cam Smith out. A ton of good value in the 6K range. All four rounds guaranteed unless somebody withdraws. So, the, people are going that studs and duds range. So there are players in here that I think you can really get some leverage with. And let's start with the first one. I'm going to start with the most expensive player that I have of the two. At 8,200, I'm talking about Tyrell Hatton. Tyrell Hatton. And I think Tyrell Hatton is an interesting look this week. And I don't, like I said, I don't feel great about it because he could definitely be quite a triggering player in a lot of ways. But let's take a look. Let's open him up on Fantasy National and see what we see. See what we talking about with Terrell Hatton. Terrell Hatton. Listen, he also we'll get to that in a second. But here you go. Tyrell Hatton, longer hitter than you might have guessed. We'll open up his distance and accuracy numbers here in just a second. I don't love that bent grass is his worst surface, but he's just a great putter in general. I mean, it just doesn't. I really don't think it matters a ton, but I definitely don't love that. But just look at over his career, over the long term, he just does everything pretty good. I like that he gains strokes, significant strokes on an average golf course. I kind of think that's where we're going to fall here. I don't think this is going to be classified in that difficult range. It's going to be here or here, honestly, is what I'm guessing. So last week at the FedEx St. Jude, not great from a ball striking standpoint. Obviously, made up for it a lot with the iron play, but he's had some peak performances this year at tough golf, at tough golf courses. Just last year at the W St. Jude, 17th, runner up at Arnold Palmer at Bay Hill, 13th at the Players, 13th at the PGA, 11th at the Open Championship. These are strong field, tougher to average, events, I guess, with great fields. And Tyrrell Hatton shows promise. Now, there's also a lot of red here, right? Like, there's a lot of these horrible iron weeks for him, and it's very frustrating. But he tends to do a lot of damage with the flat stick. So let's look at his accuracy and distance numbers. So as you can see here, like definitely a longer hitter than you may think, and occasionally, gains some fairways, but he tends to be kind of a good drives guy, or he's just bombs away. Like it is what it is for Tyrrell Hatton, but definitely longer than I thought than you may have thought when you if you just kind of somebody just asked you about Tyrrell Hatton. Now, another thing about Tyrrell Hatton is when I look at the last 50 rounds. In this field, where is he? Here he is. Over the last 50 rounds in this field, he is first in strokes gained putting. He is 13th in three putt avoidance. I just think that three putt avoidance deal is a factor with these massively contoured green complexes. I think that's what we're going to get. Last thing on Tyrrell Hatton, he opened as a favorite over Adam Scott in one market making book, minus 118 favorite over Adam Scott. It's a small gap. I think Scott was minus 112. Not huge, but he did open as a favorite to Adam Scott. But this was interesting. On another book, he opened as a plus money dog to Tom Kim, 105, plus 105 dog to Tom Kim. And then immediately that book saw action on Hatton's side, and now the line is pretty much dead heat, -110 to -110. So some early money coming in on Tyrell Hatton in the outright market, and that book in particular was on DraftKings. So somebody on DraftKings Sportsbook, or maybe a number of people, pounding the plus money 105 number Tyrell Hatton over the hot Tom Kim, right? And that's very interesting. What I think you have with Hatton is you've got him in this low 8K range. And I think so many people are itching to play Cam Young and Joaquin Neiman. Like, those are the two names in the 8K that everybody's gravitating to. And it honestly leads to a lot of these guys. Aaron Wise is another one a lot of people are talking about. It leads to a lot of these guys being good pivot plays.
Pivot when you pivot when I pivot.
Yes, thank you, Pat. So I think Tyrell Hatton's just one of them that is interesting to look at. Obviously, with his putting ability on these green surfaces, I like that quite a bit. All right, before I get to the last play, I got to thank our friends at Front Nine Coffee. If you've not tried out the coffee, go check it out. We've got our own flavors. We've got our own brand over there at front9coffee.com. Promo code TJ10 gets you 20% off any order and every order that you make subsequently. All right. And then when you order it, then they're going to roast the coffee. They don't roast it beforehand. Then they're going to roast it. They're going to deliver it to your house anywhere in the US and Canada, fresh. It's going to taste delicious. It's going to smell delicious. It's going to be just what you ordered. And you're supporting a local business, small business started right here in Augusta, Georgia, and now distributing everywhere in the US and Canada. So we are very appreciative of our partners at Front Nine Coffee. It's coffee for golfers. They love coffee. They love golf. I mean, they're in Augusta. Like, what you have to, right? And they're taking great care of the Tour Junkies, listeners and viewers. So check them out. Front9coffee.com. Promo code TJ10 is where it's at for Front Nine Coffee. All right. This next play is no stranger to my affection, no stranger to my heart, right? He's a lover that I've gone to and I've pulled back from, and he's pulled me back in, and I've gone again, and then he's roped me back in again with his musk. And this is one of those weeks where I think I'm in. I think I'm in. Keegan Bradley, 7,200. I'm seeing him projected anywhere between like 6 and 8%. By the way, Hatton, I'm seeing somewhere in that 7 to 10 range. He might get up to 10, but I don't really know that that's really too chalky to be a sleeper, honestly, in the 8K range. But Keegan, in that 6 to 8% range, he's 100 to 1 on BetMGM, is the longest number you can get on Keegan Bradley. He's plus 220 to top 20 on DraftKings. And when I looked at his head to head, he has lines out on three players: Chris Kirk, Denny McCarthy, and Christian Bezadenhout. He is a favorite, opened as a favorite over all three of those guys. Now, I don't think any of those three guys are being talked up any more than necessarily Keegan Bradley, and they're all right around his price range. So I get it. It does make sense. But where Keegan is seated in the DraftKings world, you have a lot of ownership early on, at least, projected to go on to Mito and Davis Riley. I have seen some discrepancy in the Mito number, but I think Mito is going to be popular. People like to play Mito. And here's what's really interesting about Keegan. I bet, I bet if I asked you, gun to your head, is Keegan Bradley, would you include Keegan Brad, to name me the top 10 putters in this field in 3-putt avoidance over the last 50 rounds? I doubt that Keegan Bradley's name would come out of your mouth, but he's actually 8th in this field in 3-putt avoidance over the last 50 rounds. He's 35th in strokes gained putting in this field. Now, it's 68 guys. I get it. 70 guys. So the middle of the pack in terms of putting, but 8th in 3-putt avoidance. So obviously Keegan doing his thing, I would say, from a lag putting standpoint. In that same 50-round time span, though, he checks the box in approach, 22nd off the tee, not bad around the greens. Distance is obviously there. DraftKings scoring, he's okay. 33rd in DraftKings scoring, 21st in strokes gained approach. Opportunities gained, which is a big stat. By the way, Tyrell Hatton, I forgot to mention, 19th in DraftKings points scored. But let's take a quick look at what Keegan Bradley's been doing lately. I mean, he has been struggling a little bit, and so the iron, the ball striking play concerns me just a little bit. These last few events has not been great. Like, really, since he went over to the Scottish, I don't know exactly what he did on these two. I could pull it up, but that would take too long. But here, losing strokes with the irons, I don't love that. It does it does give me some concern, that is for sure. But I mean, as we zoom out as to what he's done the last probably, here's 50 rounds probably in here somewhere. The guy's just had a great year. And he can do it in big fields. He can do it in strong fields. Um, the Arnold Palmer, tough golf course, tough field. The Players, same thing. Wells Fargo, decent field. Avenel Farm was an interesting spot. I like the golf course. U.S. Open, right? I mean, Keegan can get it done. He's fallen out of form for sure. He's not checking all the stat boxes that everybody wants him to check, or what we're used to seeing him check. That is for sure. Bent is his best surface. At least he doesn't lose a lot of strokes on bent grass. That's promising. But you can see the ownership for Keegan's just been not much of anything here lately, since he's really not been the stat lover boy that everybody was used to seeing for so long. But I do think he truly has the upside. Keegan also sits at 45th in the FedEx Cup rankings, Tyrell Hatton at 51st. It's kind of in that range where those guys really have to have a top 3, probably top 3 to 5 finish this week, I would say, to get into Eastlake next week. Now, that could mean a couple things. It could mean that by Saturday, if they're sitting at, 58th, they're probably, I don't know that they're getting like full on concentration. You could possibly see Tyrell Hatton losing his cool when he hits a bad shot or a putt doesn't go in. So I think you run that risk. But I also think that these guys know going into the week when they tee it up on Thursday, hey, let's go balls to the wall. Let's give it everything we've got to give it. Let's throw everything we've got to throw at it. This could possibly be our last event of the season. We might as well let's go score. Let's go make something happen because they've got to. They're not sitting at the 21 spot or the 17 spot and just kind of holding on, and just playing a little more conservatively or whatever it may be. I think both of these guys are going to come out aggressive. And I think what we've seen from them in the past is they are capable of going deep. And I don't think either one of these veterans are scared of the field or scared of some of the names at the top. So if they were to find themselves in contention late on a Sunday, I think they could possibly get it done, despite not really showing a whole lot of prowess to do that. In recent history, I mean, Hatton probably hasn't won as many golf tournaments as he should have. Neither has Keegan, that's for sure. But I do think these guys are going to come out swinging, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But when we're looking at sleepers, when we're talking about a no cut event, 68 guys, DFS, you got to have the high upside plays. These guys, I certainly believe, have the high upside at probably single digit ownership. So there you go. That's it. That's the sleepers video. Check out front9coffee.com. Use promo code TJ10, and let's enjoy the rest of the week. May your screens be green. See ya.